Hey guys, what's up? It's Kevin Schroff, and today we're going to take an in-depth look at the UMIDIGI A9 Pro, a $150 Android smartphone featuring a 1080p LTPS display, mostly stock Android 10, a big battery, attractive design, 48 megapixel Sony camera sensor, and more for a very reasonable price. Is this phone worth purchasing? Let's find out in this review. Special thanks goes out to UMIDIGI for providing this review unit. Let's start off with the design. The UMIDIGI A9 Pro is built consisting of a premium-feeling metal frame and glass front and back. The device has a modern and attractive design, with slim bezels lining the front of the device and a teardrop notch at the top of the display. The metal frame extends around the perimeter of the device, with antenna bands at the top and bottom. On the right-hand side, we can see the lock button and the volume rocker. On the left-hand side, we can see the dual SIM plus microSD card slot and the customizable side button. More on that later. On the bottom is a 3.5mm headphone jack, microphone, USB-C port, and speaker. On the back of the device, we can see the quad camera array plus infrared thermometer sensor and fingerprint scanner. Subjectively, the device feels sturdy and well built in the hand, with no creaking. Even when intentionally trying to twist the unit, the device is rigid and does not exhibit any flexing. The UMIDIGI A9 Pro can be configured with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of internal storage for the base model with a 32-megapixel main Sony rear camera for $130, or 6GB of RAM with 128GB of internal storage and a 48-megapixel main rear Sony camera for $150, which is the model I have here. RAM is LPDDR4X, and the internal storage is UFS 2.1 spec, which bodes well for general performance and speed. The device has dual SIM plus microSD card slot support, of which all three can be used simultaneously as each has their own dedicated slot. Connectivity-wise, the A9 Pro supports 2.4 and 5 GHz Wi-Fi with up to 802.11ac and Bluetooth 4.2. The device supports 4G LTE and Voice over LTE in both dual SIM slots, and has support for global network bands, shown on screen now. The phone is also equipped with a 3.5mm headphone jack, something which is becoming increasingly less common, but it's nice to see here, and a USB-C port which is capable of OTG, allowing you to connect an external hard drive, USB, or other peripherals, with the exception of external displays, as the A9 Pro is incapable of video out. The speakers on the A9 Pro get very loud. Sound quality-wise, they aren't anything special, but will get the job done. The display on the A9 Pro is a 6.3-inch 2340 by 1080 LTPS display. In my opinion, the display is one of the most important parts of the phone, and an area where many budget smartphones skimp on. Thankfully, however, the UMIDIGI A9 Pro has a very nice display. Contrast is great, and black levels are surprisingly deep for a non-OLED panel. Sharpness is also excellent, with text and graphics appearing clearly and sharply, thanks to the panel's good pixel density at 409 pixels per inch. The panel's brightness is sufficient for both indoor and outdoor use. However, I wish the brightness adjustment slider was more linear in the status bar. Additionally, the touchscreen digitizer is also accurate, with no issues or missed input, even when typing quickly or doing complex multi-finger gestures. Speaking of software, the UMIDIGI A9 Pro comes out of the box with Android 10. The OS is mostly stock Android 10 with some small UI tweaks and feature additions, such as Face Unlock, Side Key Customization, Smart Assistant, and IR Thermometer. The A9 Pro's dedicated side key is a nice useful addition that can be customized to trigger any user-chosen action, such as opening the camera, flashlight, and more. Smart Key even allows you to map different actions upon a single click, double click, or long press of the side key. Face Unlock works well enough in most situations, but when it doesn't work, I use the Fingerprint Sensor. The rear-mounted Fingerprint Sensor is great. It registers and unlocks the device quickly, and will even wake up and unlock the device without having to turn on the screen first. This means you can simply place your finger on the fingerprint sensor whilst you're taking the phone out of your pocket, and the device will already be open and unlocked if you got the positioning right. Smart Assistant features a couple more useful software features, including the ability to use full-screen gesture navigation, 2-button navigation, or 3-button navigation, enable 3-finger swipe to screenshot, SOS features, and the ability to rearrange your navigation bar icons. The UMIDIGI A9 Pro also has a hardware infrared thermometer sensor. This can allow you to measure the temperature of a person or even an object using the included Thermometer app. Aside from the useful additions, the relatively close experience to stock Android and no bloatware is appreciated here, with the device using the stock Google apps throughout the system. The UMIDIGI A9 Pro features the 12nm MediaTek Helio P60 SoC. This SoC has an 8-core CPU in a big.little configuration, with 4 small A53 cores and 4 big A73 performance cores, and the onboard GPU is a Mali G72 MP3. Under Geekbench 5, the UMIDIGI A9 Pro manages a CPU single-core score of 263 and a multi-core score of 1239. In compute, the GPU scores 979. This puts its CPU performance roughly around that of a Samsung Galaxy S6, and the UMIDIGI's GPU performance around 30% better than an S6. This is pretty decent benchmark numbers and is reflected in the UMIDIGI A9 Pro's real-world performance. General usage and UI interaction is quick and responsive system-wide. Apps launch quickly, and multitasking is very good, with a 6GB of LPDDR4X RAM and UFS 2.1 storage. The close-to-stock Android ROM helps with speed and keeps things clean, fast, and unhindered by bloatware. The Helio P60 SoC is also capable of gaming, with heavy titles like RuneScape Mobile running at around 50 to 60 FPS on medium-low settings, depending on on-screen environment complexity. The A9 Pro is equipped with a primary rear 48-megapixel Sony sensor, a 16-megapixel ultra-wide sensor, a 5-megapixel depth sensor, a 5-megapixel macro sensor, and a 24-megapixel Sony front-facing sensor for the model with the 6GB of RAM. For the cheaper model with 4GB of RAM, this camera setup is the same, with the exception of the primary 48-megapixel Sony sensor being swapped out for a 32-megapixel Sony sensor. That's a lot of cameras. Video recording is limited to 1080p at 30 FPS. Whilst the camera array is extensively equipped, the overall image quality of the photos and videos you can get from it is average, but it's good enough for this phone's price point. Otzaiki on YouTube has posted a good range of photos and videos from this device under different scenarios. You can check out his video with the UMIDIGI A9 Pro's camera samples in the link in the video description. The UMIDIGI A9 Pro has a 4150 mAh battery, which is quite large in size. In real-world usage, the battery life is pretty good, allowing around 7 hours of screen-on time with a mixed usage scenario, like using social media, browsing the web, and watching videos, with medium-high auto brightness. Standby time is also really good. I had the phone fully charged and locked, and came back to it after a few days, and it had only dropped around 3%. Fully charging the phone from 0 to 100% takes roughly 2 hours when charging from the AC adapter. The A9 Pro comes with a nice assortment of accessories included with the device. Firstly, there's a pre-applied screen protector already on the phone. Inside the box, we can see that they also provided a case for the phone, which is a nice addition to get with a device at this price point. Aside from that, the expected AC adapter, SIM tool, manuals, and a nice quality red USB-C cable are all included. In conclusion, the UMIDIGI A9 Pro is a great budget Android smartphone with a clean, fast Android 10 system ROM devoid of any bloatware, a decently fast SoC, a very nice LTPS display, and a modern design, large storage and good connectivity, and good battery life, all at the low price point of $150. Thanks guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and the like buttons, and comment down below if you have any questions about the device. Thanks and see you later.